Now, Pakistan is not new to violence, especially terrorist violence.
But what has happened is that this has really exposed Pakistan. Shahbaz Sharif was at the stage really
That
sucking
was
up.
so embarrassing, sir.
So embarrassing, really sucking up to Trump, the way he was bending. And Balochistan has now come to light and it is binding people of Balochistan together. What is coming out, there will be some sort of a false flag operation which will be done in Pakistan. For Shias and Ahmadiyas who fought for actually Pakistan, now they are being targeted by the Sunnis in their own artificial country which they created for them.
Carrier strike group USS Abraham Lincoln is locked and loaded.
Maybe Asim Munir wants to project to the Americans that there's an immense amount of pressure for me to detach troops from here for Gaza operations. Even if you give me $1,000 per soldier deployed.
How important is de-radicalization and counter-radicalization in Kashmir?
Balochistan has now come to light and it is binding people of Balochistan together. Why Pakistan is able to come back and perpetuate that very high level of violence is not Pakistan, it is in the Indian state.
Jai Hind, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching Open Collar. Pakistan has seen an uptick in violence recently. Now, Pakistan is not new to violence, especially terrorist violence. It's been happening for decades, but then it has its ebbs and flows. There will be a time when violence will peak and then it will come down. And even in the down phase, there is violence in Pakistan. There are everyday terror attacks. But recently, 2 terror attacks have happened. One by the Baloch Liberation Army and their Majid Brigade, that was Operation Herof 2. And very recently, 31 people killed inside a Shia Imambada in Islamabad. Today I have a very special guest, Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, former GOC 15 Corps, and he's going to discuss with us what exactly is happening in Pakistan and how does all of this touch Kashmir. So Jai Hind and a very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. So the third place you have missed out is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
We'll get to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, sir. I have it in my list of questions.
Okay. So there are 3 sets of violence happening and I'll talk about the 2 which you refer to. Firstly, what has happened is that with the alliance or with BRI, CPEC coming through Balochistan and large number of projects which are coming through, the polarization of population in which the natural resources and riches are being harvested by Pakistan for its filling the coffers of the Pakistani establishment in Punjabi Pakistan. This has really pushed the Baloch people to a corner, right? They were unhappy all the time. Even in 1947, they were a different people. They were forced to join Pakistan through variety of mechanization which was taken at that point of time by the leadership. But what has happened is that this has really exposed Pakistan to the Baloch people that they aren't going to get what they deserve from the natural resources which they own, right? The only unfortunate part is that they were quite disparate groups. There were about more than 10 to 12 different tribes fighting, at times allying with the Pakistani establishment and at times fighting against, and they were not united. In last about 2 to 3 years, there has been a great effort by them to join hands and put up a projected single unit fight against the Pakistani establishment. Because if they don't do so now, right, they will be always driven to fringe and they'll be written off from the map over a period of time, and that is what they realize. So I think that is one very, very major facet because of which when a coordinated attack starts happening on Pakistani establishment, then it comes to the eye of this thing. So they launched Herof 1.20 in 2024 and the second one was just culminated, which resulted in, I think, more than 300 Pakistani soldiers being killed and about 90 to 100 Baloch fighters being killed, right? So that is one part which I thought I will put across. The atrocities which have happened actually, and they are quite visible. You see, social media was not a powerful tool. The legacy media kept things happening inside Balochistan quite suppressed.
Absolutely.
While people were aware something is going on, there's nothing much just coming on. Now what has happened is that now recorded versions of the women being picked up, undisclosed disappearances, people being killed, extrajudicial killings which are happening in Balochistan has now come to light, and it is binding people of Balochistan together. One is that, and also certain degree of hue and cry which is happening outside. The only unfortunate circumstance for Baloch people is that they don't have some powerful voice or a Nobel Prize winner sitting in US or in a Western country. And United Nations will never look at them till the time the US tells them to start looking at Baloch people with some humanity. And Pakistanis having shaken hands with Americans the way they have always, this part will always be kept quiet. And that is the unfortunate part. Coming to this blast which has taken place in Islamabad, right? In fact, just 2 days or 3 days prior on one of the shows, I mentioned this part, that what is coming out, there will be some sort of a false flag operation which will be done in Pakistan. I am quite surprised that Pakistan did not blame India that emphatically, rather than they shifted the entire blame to Afghanistan. I was thinking that they will do, but they did not. And they shifted the focus to Afghanistan. This has been the norm of the Pakistani establishment. Please understand that majority of, even in Taliban, when Taliban was being propped up, there were multiple groups which are there. Some groups, all groups had some tie-in with ISI. And, you know, if one group was going against, the second group was propped up. So this concept has been practiced very well by Pakistanis. And they, please look at it, the smartness of it. Whom they attacked and they continue to attack are the Shia, right? Which is supposed to be a non-Muslim population or in Pakistan. So when you blow up,
the Sunnis consider them non-Muslims or not proper Muslims or whatever. Sir.
Correct. Yeah. So Ahmadiyas and everybody are so unfortunate for Shias and Ahmadiyas who fought for actually Pakistan. Now they are being targeted by the Sunnis in their own artificial country which they created for themselves. So Shias they get targeted as an easy meat all the time, right? And this is no doubt in my mind, this is not violence which has been perpetrated by any terror organization. This is violence perpetrated by ISI on their own people for a purpose, for a cause, right? So the cause is possibly to start shifting focus onto Afghanistan for the human rights violation. And of course, there's an idea which possibly you also have that maybe Asim Munir wants to project to the Americans that there's an immense amount of pressure for me to detach troops from here for Gaza operations, even if you give me $1,000 per soldier deployed, but I don't have, either you increase the cost, it's a great bargaining chip. So you killed 150 people, and for that if you raise the cost of this thing, and okay, we'll come to the Board of Peace, but don't ask us for $1 billion to be a permanent member. So anything can go. This community, the strategic leadership of Pakistan, whatever it is, they aren't caring for their own people. And the economic plight, the distress which is there in the society, the polarization and radicalization which is taking place in Pakistan is quite evident. While their own elite women smoke, enjoy, dance, they play Basant, as you've seen about a day or two back. But the rest of the population is easy meat for their own.
It could be
ends.
a negotiating tactic, you're saying, sir.
It can be a negotiating tactic. If you recall, even in Sharm el-Sheikh, you know, when Shahbaz Sharif had gone there, that point of time there was a large movement which took place and seized through one of those Islamic parties which had come out at the same point of time. And nearly, I am told, about 150 people were killed when Pakistani military turned on their own, I am forgetting the name of
Tehreek-e-Labbaik, sir?
Tehreek-e-Labbaik, yeah. So they turned on them and they killed nearly about 150 people that point of time when Shahbaz Sharif was at the stage really sucking up.
So embarrassing, sir.
So embarrassing, really sucking up to Trump, the way he was bending, and you could see the Italian Prime Minister actually trying to hold her face straight when he was talking. Yeah. So you see, this is a pitch which Pakistanis do. When you take a deal with Americans, you need to show that what are the challenges here. Either I can't send, or oh, by the way, I will send, but this cost which you're asking us for the payment, or the
give us more money.
Give us more money.
So from Pakistan, I would request you to take us through what is happening with Iran. So carrier strike group USS Abraham Lincoln is locked and loaded. And I don't know, by the time this video is released, maybe Trump would have ended up attacking Iran or not. We don't know. My question is, if it comes on the regime, the Khamenei regime in Iran, if it comes to that, if there is some sort of a political upheaval in Iran because of outside factors, do you feel there is going to be a ripple effect in the Kashmir Valley, sir?
Yeah. So there are two questions of this which I'd like to answer. One you've not asked and one you've asked.
Please, sir.
Right. The one which you've asked is about the ripple effect in Kashmir. Right. Well, I frankly don't see any ripple effect, because while Shias, not only in Kashmir, they are elsewhere in our country in some significant number, but they are not violent groups which will carry out certain degree of actions against for or this. Eventually the regime will be moved from, in case they are removed from Iran's helm of affairs, there will be some other regime which will come again, and they will also be a Shia, they will not be a Sunni. So there is no shifting of a Shia regime and a Sunni regime is coming or some other regime is coming. So it may be political, it may be democratic, it may be autocratic, it may be a king. One doesn't know what will happen actually. Unfortunately, the Americans don't have themselves an answer for this, and that is why the delay. The fact is that Kashmir, there will be no major issue. I can guarantee, like, while people will like to look at some sort of a trouble, but nothing will happen, because there's a law and order, and the Shia population of Kashmir are very, very peaceful. They are unlike so many other people in Kashmir. So let me rest of that. Now coming to this part which you not asked about, I had put the timeline of something to happen on 31st January, and thereafter another about week to 10 days. Because if this 7 to 10 days slip out, Trump will be losing the steam. They may carry out a build-up, but the operation may not happen, right? There are various geopolitical situations which are going to be emerging that this may disallow to happen. While they may like to build up over a period of time and then carry out a strike maybe after a month or 2 months, it all depends. But I think it's very critical for them to carry out this operation next about, last is about maybe 10th of this month.
After that, you're saying that the window will
start diminishing, because you see, there comes when you start drumming up support, right? A circumstance, your protests, the killings which are happening in Iran, information warfare campaign which comes out. Eventually, what will happen is that even the Iranians will start releasing stuff which will go against the state of America and give them not enough just balance to carry out an attack.
So you're saying there is a certain point of inflection where it happens, and after that, the justification goes down slightly in your own mind.
Because even Iran will develop the capacities to hit hard and back.
Yes, sir.
And therefore, that fear, the discussion which will be happening in their operations room will start impacting Trump. And geopolitical situation, if you see today, change by the minute. They're not changing over a period of time. They're not gradual. It's not Iraq war or Afghanistan war. It will take 6 months to develop, and thereafter you have got international organization, you have got major countries who are arrayed behind you to carry out an operation. So the things are happening very swift, fast, furious, and therefore if you don't take a view and a posture and a decision in time, there's a possibility of losing that narrative and losing that edge.
So you've been GOC 15 Corps, and perhaps the most visible and active corps in the Indian Army, because it's always in the news for a variety of reasons. So you have hinterland operations, you have the line of control, and you have so many things going on in Kashmir, obviously, sir. My question is that, especially in Bangladesh, sir, in Pakistan also, lesser than that in India, but in all these places, you have this very active involvement of Jamaat-e-Islami. Not many people know that Jamaat-e-Islami, till very recently, was a very, very active force in the Kashmir Valley. You've seen what the Jamaat-e-Islami has done in Bangladesh, what they're doing in Pakistan. Tell us something, sir, from your experience about Jamaat-e-Islami in the Kashmir Valley, sir.
Never,
and not just as GOC, sir, because you have served in Kashmir, sir.
I have served in Kashmir for 7 years, 7 terms.
Sir.
That is besides. But when you read geopolitics, you read the role of Jamaat.
Sir.
Never ever underestimate Jamaat-Islami. They are the shroud, they are the weave, right? They may go behind, but they will always be around to wait for their opportune time to create trouble, right? So Jamaat-e-Islami, maybe in Pakistan, they are as good, as bad as Muslim Brotherhood or anywhere. They will always come out as people of peace. They will always come out and they say, we want to fight elections, we believe in democratic process. But the underlying theme is absolutely the political orientation of so-called political. And mind you, there's nothing political about Islam, right? They will all talk about political Islam. It's all about control by mullahs, and you can see what is happening in Bangladesh. All those people who joined hand with some Jamaat-e-Islami, so-called modern, wokist, leftist women, right? Hindus even. Now they are realizing that what Jamaat-e-Islami means. After all, when you put a child of 5 years, 6 years into a madrasa over next 20, 25 years to only learn by rote a particular, you don't even understand the meaning of what you're reading. And then when you come out on the other end, you have got no other capacity to do anything except to believe that what I've been taught by that Maulvi of yours who's got no knowledge of modernity, science or future or anything. He just knows that, I'll not get into details, but they know that superiority of the religion is utmost and therefore it must be applied to one and all. So they
and everything else is secondary, sir.
No, this is not secondary. It's non-existent.
It's non-existent. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you look at they're resilient. Jamaat-e-Islami was always there in Bangladesh, and the Bangladesh strategic leadership thought of this saying that when you become benign and you become nice to them, they may come onto the path of prosperity, looking at people's good and look at future and be part of the economic, world economic, the system and everything. No, they don't. They will always keep lying down and they will ally with BNP, they will ally with NCP and then they will bounce back. So is the case in Kashmir. Never ever. The ideology which this thing, ISIS, Al-Qaeda are foot soldiers of the similar ideology. Jamaat-e-Islami are the people who perpetuate those.
So what is the role in the valley, sir? That's what I wanted to know.
Their role in the valley is to continue to ally with state government, central government, with political forces to continue to remain relevant in the minds of the people, right? By fear, by power, not by lure. And I may be put to wrong with many voices, but if I speak for people of Kashmir, right, they are scared of Jamaat-e-Islami, right? They may not say it openly, but in private, when you talk to them, they understand the power they bring. Kashmiris are not like Pakistani tribal areas or those people. Kashmiris are usually, their DNA was very, very modern, 500, 600 years back. Even in 70s or 80s or 60s, when you see of Kashmir, there was something like the pictures of modernity, very, very open. Yes, there were thoughts of Aap Bharat se aaye ho, Aap India se aaye ho. That is because their leadership has put their thought. But essentially, when you look at as religion, as a polarization factor or radicalizing factor, Kashmir was never radicalized in that manner. There may be a thought of separatism in the mind or independence, because it is not only to blame the Kashmiri Muslims. In fact, that thought was perpetuated in across the section of society in Jammu and Kashmir, except for, I think, the region of Jammu. But the fact is, that they are extremely modern, right? Even now, they're a common Kashmiri, most of them, and when I say most, it's not majority, it's significant majority, will want their daughters to actually work outside, inside Kashmir at a respectable place in a modern system of this thing. They will like to send them to schools, medical colleges and everything. I'm talking with the men and I'm also talking with the women. Unlike so many other places where they would like the women to stay behind curtains and doors and stay behind. So Jamaat is dangerous. Even if they come and smile at you and they say...
Even if they say we'll fight elections, we are aligned with the central government.
Please, right. It's a great money-making organization.
They're screensavers, sir.
They are screensavers.
Jay.
Yes. And they make huge amount of money through fear, right?
Jamaat-e-Islami.
You have to just go and see the businesses which are happening in name of masjids and madrasas and stuff like that, right? It is huge.
Huge, sir. You spoke about Kashmir, sir, and I could see the passion because you've served there.
And none of the money,
sir,
goes back for modern education of children.
Sir.
They will all go to actually continue to have certain, there are private institutions. They had about 500 schools, if I recall, at that point of time. All of them were majorly kept little bit scientific, to develop scientific temper, but largely into focus onto
religious studies and all that, sir. Anantnag is very famous for that. All over, but yes, Anantnag was, of course. Sir, we're talking about the valley, sir. And
और किसी के पास आप भेज दो पावर ना उधर बच्चे के पास किसी to any Kashmiri that where should your daughter study? She should go to a missionary school or a good school or to that private school. They will all like to go in that order. A missionary school or a good private school and then possibly this thing. So it's a compulsion also which drives.
Compulsion also, sir. Now, sir, we were speaking about the valley and just for the information of our viewers, when Fauji's talk, we say valley because that is what comes naturally. We are talking about Kashmir Valley. In the valley, sir, you see these spikes of violence and long periods of peace. Even before Pahalgam happened, there was relative peace. There would have been one or two shootouts here and there, but largely peaceful. And then suddenly it spikes, sir. And then calm. What is the trigger behind all this? Why does Pakistan do this? It no longer has the capacity, and this is what I understand, so please correct me if I'm wrong. It does not have that capacity to do constant mischief making in the valley because the army and the other security forces have pretty much controlled the situation. But there will be odd leakages like Pahalgam where there will be a tragedy, sir.
Okay, so first is Pakistan had the capacity, right, in early 90s.
Yes, sir.
To have a prolonged CI-CT insurgency-driven operation in Jammu and Kashmir. They had that capacity, right? It got killed. And thankfully for that one force called Rashtriya Rifle, right, which I was very proud, member of multiple times, right, and I'm extremely proud. And there's a second element called the Special Operations Group of Jammu and Kashmir.
SOGs.
SOG. Awesome, right? SOG held it off till Rashtriya Rifle got raised, right? And then once Rashtriya Rifle came in, thereafter the thing has been stabilized. The one primary reason, if you want me to ask, why Pakistan is able to come back and perpetuate that very high level of violence is not Pakistan, it is in the Indian state, right? Indian state has got a capacity of getting lured by believing a concept of good separatist, bad separatist, good guy, bad guy, right? Second is Indian state, and when I say Indian state, me and you and a common Indian public is also part of this whole system, in which in our DNA, we have a concept of a DNA forgive, chhod do, it's all right, nothing will happen, we have won it, and now let's start looking elsewhere. The virus of terrorism, ideological extremism, only goes back like Jamaat, recedes into some recesses in a corner and mutates like a virus to come back and strike hard, right? And that is what Pakistan does. The second thing what Pakistan does, and which Indian state doesn't understand, that Pakistan re-strategizes, right? When one mission is failing, and they understand that this launch is going to bound to peter off after some time. It will reach a point, and thereafter, a state like India, which is a huge state, will take control. But in the meantime, they're planning a new strategy to roll out. And if you see a very close linkage, they learn from the world across. Most importantly, they learn from Hamas, what happens in Israel. They will always come back after learning from their strategy, how to inflict wound into our country, and focused on in Jammu and Kashmir.
Sir, I'm sorry, this was not part of my questionnaire, sir, which I had prepared for you. Why do they learn such things from Hamas? I mean, there are so many other things to learn in the world. Positive things, you can learn so much from the world. Why is the Pakistani army only busy learning terrorism?
Yeah, so that started, this will be a long story, but let me just cut it short. Very early in 1947, they were taught by the British masters, right, who were at that point of time controlling Pakistan. A lot of time we blame Pakistan for 1947, the tribal invasion, but what you don't realize, it is the Britishers who actually told them how to go about it. And if you remember the story of Major Brown, who took Gilgit Scouts and Gilgit-Baltistan.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
We just don't know, because that is not in your NR, this thing. With just that one company commander, their entire Gilgit-Baltistan, which is nearly the same or maybe more the size of the present Jammu and Kashmir's UT, much more resource rich, much more intrinsic to our country, was lost, right? So they understood this idea of irregular warfare, and they applied it in 65. They tried to do it in Kargil. Then they mutated to a form where they have won the war for the Americans in Afghanistan through Mujahideen and thereafter through Taliban. They have understood that this is the only way forward. The machinery which they set in last about 4 decades or 5 decades in Pakistan, the institutions of militant landscape which they have established, it's become so intrinsic, joined in the entire Pakistani state establishment, are 2 factors. One is Islam is the only way we can bind our country. But they don't understand which form of Islam will bound. Shias, Ahmadiyas are outlaws, but Sunnis are in. Sunnis, Devbandi form or Barelvi or which one. So, that's a decision they have to take a call. The second is their hatred for our country, for India. Now, every time when you do some mischief and you lose, it adds that salt to their wound. It never tells them to reform and change their ways, to engage, to look at betterment of the people. So, the more India is going to economically rise, the more that hatred is going to be there in the establishment that, look, we follow a particular religion, we came because of a particular religion, and look where the God Almighty has sent us. Least realizing that they are the cause of it. And they will continue to hate our country to try and bring it down. That is a very famous, Tumhari kameez, why is your shirt whiter than mine, and I spit on it. Is a concept which they have internalized and very difficult for them to get out.
So, sir, I'll very quickly come to Hamas, sir. We mentioned Hamas earlier, and now we've seen Hamas across the line of control. In POK, there have been instances of Hamas people even in Rawalpindi and Islamabad, and also along the line of control. What exactly is happening with, is there collusivity, sir, between the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Hamas and Jaish-e-Mohammed and all of that, sir?
No, I will not say collusivity between Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed here. The collusivity between Pakistani state and Hamas. Please, can an Hamas terrorist or a leader come to a country with a video being graphed in Lashkar-e-Taiba headquarters and this thing, without the stamp of approval of the Pakistani
Absolutely
state?
not.
He's not dug a hole inside or came via balloon or something. He landed up by parachuting in this location and thereafter gone out. Oh, by the way, that photograph, that video of that gentleman who had come, the terrorist who had come, I believe he's been knocked off, right? But the fact is that there is a lot of interplay with Pakistani state and Hamas, because Palestine remains very, very close to them, because Pakistani state may say anything in openly, but they hate Israel.
So,
Right. So they will continue to get Hamas. Hamas is not the first time they have come. They have come multi times before to guide. This one time just before Pahalgam, if you recall, there was a Hamas coordination meeting which took place with the terrorists and all, to actually make them understand that how October 7 was perpetuated. And there you have the result of Pahalgam which happened.
So, there has been this constant conversation in Kashmir. De-radicalization, counter-radicalization, and this has been going on for decades, sir. I mean, we've been part of these conversations, and so how important are these things? Number one, sir, because now during our time, sir, when we were on the line of control, there were no fences at that point in time. There was nothing, sir. We knew that there was a bush, there was a clump of trees, there were a few stones, and the nala here, and this pretty much the alignment of the 3-4 is the line of control that you guard. And the ambushes have to be laid accordingly in the company AOR, sir. I'm just a very old time, sir. I'm talking about the late 90s. Now there is a fence. Now there are so many things, a layer upon layer, and infiltration is down to a trickle, sir. There was a time when they could pretty much walk in because the terrain is like that. So you put 10 infantry divisions, you'll always find space. My question to you is that, sir, Pakistan has again and again used the internet to radicalize people. Adil Ahmad Dar, the Pulwama suicide bomber, he was a local Kashmiri, and to the best of our knowledge has never been to Pakistan, never went to Pakistan, sir. Yet they could radicalize him to such an extreme that we lost 40 of our brothers in the CRPF, sir. He rammed his car into their bus. Everybody knows the history, sir. How important is de-radicalization and counter-radicalization in Kashmir, and your experiences as a corps commander there, sir?
So neither counter-radicalization nor de-radicalization has been taken up by the state as a comprehensive stuff, because these words in India, which is supposed to be a mix, a secular state, the moment you start talking about it, becomes a pariah, or something which is very unpolitical or cannot be accepted. And more so, when you talk of these subjects in context of Jammu and Kashmir, they can become very, very dangerous. They're not easy to apply. Okay, so I'll rest this part. The second part I'll talk about radicalization. So when you said when you asked me that question, that how Pakistan continues with, they evolve, right? Earlier on, it was directly through madrasas and
yes, sir,
on institutions. The training was done on their side, and thereafter people were sent. Then it evolved to internet. Then it went on to mobile. Now it has become a online radicalization, which is quite the thing. So I will not like to put now onus today only on Pakistan, right? I like to put onus on a geopolitical environment in which online radicalization has become a universal theme, right? So the West and everybody thought that this is only a problem of India. And now when they are getting hit in their respective countries, in Australia and other places, now they have started realizing that online radicalization is not only by Pakistan, but has got a different form of itself. It's a big challenge for the world today and for tomorrow. So while Pakistan targets specifically by videos with content the people of the vulnerable youth of Jammu and Kashmir, they are also doing the same all across the country, right? So we get focused totally on Jammu and Kashmir because it's much more easier to discuss. But this is happening not only there, it is happening all across our country, and therefore you'll get a doctor from Lucknow, right? A modern this thing, who leaves her own husband and parents and children to become part of this thing. So this is one of the most dangerous things which is happening, and we need technological tools by the government of India, the way the Chinese have done, and there are so many other countries which are doing, Saudis have done, Gulf has done, to ensure that the content which comes to our people through digital space is controlled. The second thing which is very important for you to understand is a word called, I coined a term called white collar terrorist when I was there. the use of white-collar terrorists, because eventually, while you may be able to shape the mind through online radicalization, but eventually you require somebody on the ground who's respectable to reach out to a youth which is vulnerable to pick up a gun or strap an explosive around him to carry out a blast. And that is not done by a radical who's exposed. These are people who are educated, who are in position of power. They may be government, doing a government job. They may be a teacher or a forester, who will carry out identification of a person, that this is a person who is a target. Online radicalization of 1,000 will come out to manifest into those 10 people, out of which one will pick up a weapon or strap a ID around him to carry out a blast like Adil, right? So this is something which the state needs to look to identify those people, and these people are known to local population, right? They understand that this guy is trouble for my child, but unfortunately, the fear of last about 70 to 80 years of polarization disallows them. And I said last time, they are very, very scared of Jamaat-e-Islami people, right? So they need to be identified, that who are they, and they need to be taken control of. De-radicalization is successful. I, as a corps commander, had started a process called Sahi Rasta, right? That point of time, it was a very venture which succeeded, and you understand, even in army, a lot of things which you start, the moment the leadership changes, it gets dissipated, or because new ideas come, it continues to run, right? And if I say today, safely about 400 to 500 youth who were on the verge or who had literally picked up weapon have been taken out of the circuit, and now they are normal citizens. I think the credit goes to the people who are running that program.
Wonderful, sir, and thank you so very much for speaking to us. Ladies and gentlemen, with Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, former GOC 15 Corps, and we spoke about so many things, about Israel, about Gaza, about the Iran conflict may happen, may not happen with the United States and Israel, but also largely Kashmir. What's happening in Kashmir? What are Pakistan's stakes in Kashmir? What is that religious trigger that Pakistan uses to set Kashmir on fire periodically, and what is happening with the radicalization in Kashmir? I hope you enjoyed this conversation with General Pandey. We'll see you again very shortly with another special guest. Till then, Jai Hind.